And welcome to the Magnetico podcast. I'm your host, Kole, and as always, I'm here with my co-host / dad.
Hello, everybody. The 1,300 and now 19th ranked podcast in the world for sports, brought to you by BetMGM. Get your bets in with BetMGM. Do your futures picks for baseball. This is episode. I this week am on a cruise. So we are doing a Mets, not preview of the season, because we'll definitely get into that later as the spring nears us and completes. But just going to talk about the offseason a little bit, some of the acquisitions, like we said all along.
Acquisitions.
It's the same.
It's not.
Tomato. But how you feeling, Cole? Pete re-signs with the Mets.
I'm happy, man. I really am. He's obviously one of my favorite players, if not my favorite player in the MLB. So, I mean, it's great to see him back. He's going to be a force on the Mets like he always has been. 30-plus home run year, maybe even 40 plus home run hitter per season. So, I mean, he's gonna have the record for most home runs in Mets history when it's all said and done. And he's not when it's all said and done. Probably this year. He only needs 27 more home runs to be number one.
He better get 27.
So I mean, he's a Mets all-time great already. So I mean, it's just glad to see him back. Only for 2 years though, but hopefully we can re-sign him after that for probably 2 more.
Well, what can you tell me about? I mean, the Mets definitely won the offseason. When you sign a Juan Soto to that deal and then follow it up with some of the smaller moves they made, but re-signing Pete to give Soto some of that protection in the lineup, lengthens the lineup. How do you feel? What would you give the Mets grade in this offseason?
Definitely in the A range. I don't know about A+. I would probably say like A to A-. It was a very good offseason. We got a lot of the guys that we needed. I mean, AJ Minter out of the bullpen is going to be great. Big lefty out of the bullpen. He used to play for the Braves. He's a very good lefty. He was shut down in the postseason a couple years back. Clay Holmes also out of the bullpen, but he also could start this year. So we'll see what's going on with that. Pretty reliable. I mean, he didn't have the best 2024, but hopefully he can bounce back with the Mets. And even some of the small guys, like you said, like Jose Siri. I mean, a little bench bat, maybe defense. He's one of the faster guys in the league.
A lot of people got him starting in center.
I mean, after Harrison Bader signed with the Twins, I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if he did. He's a pretty solid player. He just doesn't hit for average. He's kind of like Alonso if he was faster and played center field. He's not a big average guy, but he hits bombs. He had, I think, 24 last year. But he was in like the 190, 200 range for average. So, yeah, he's not the best player, but he'll be reliable for sure.
What do you know what's wrong with AJ Minter? They got him listed as out. A lot of guys right now. Nemo's out, Mauricio's still out, Tyrone Taylor's out, and
Mauricio's still out, dude.
AJ Minter.
He tore his ACL in 2023.
Yeah, he may be ready. They may be ready for spring, but right now they have him listed as out.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them.
So starting pitching, do you think the Mets are done now, or do you think they make this move to bring in the guy from San Diego?
San Diego?
Yeah.
Oh, Dylan Cease?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if we trade a guy like Jet Williams, I feel like it'll be like a waste. Dylan Cease is a great pitcher, don't get me wrong, but like Jet Williams, I think he's gonna be generational. For years to come for the Mets. So I just hope we don't trade anybody big like Sproat. We better not trade Sproat. He's a Florida Gator too. I mean, I don't want to see him off the Mets.
So right now on the Mets website, depth chart wise, starting pitching, they got Sean Manaea as the ace, Kodai Senga, and they could go one or two either way. Frankie Montas, David Peterson, and Clay Holmes. So I read another guy's article. They got, was it Sprout? What's his name?
Yeah.
Sprout. They got him as the number 4 starter. So I'm with you, Cole. You can get rid of prospects, bring in a swing and miss guy like this guy out of San Diego. But at the same time, if you look at the analytics, he gets hit hard. And if he's not on, he gets hit hard.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think he's a free agent after this year.
Yeah,
so,
correct.
I mean, a one-and-done type pitcher. I mean, Maybe at the deadline if he's having a great season, but I don't want to give up way too much for half a season of a starting pitcher.
When we looked at the Mets rotation last year, we kind of felt like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Right?
And then, we really did, and it really stepped up second half of the year. And in the postseason.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would stick with what we got. Keep the young talent. You locked up Soto for 10 years.
15.
So he's going to be in a wheelchair. I wouldn't give away the young talent for a guy that's not locked down.
Like Acuna, no way. No way we should trade Acuna. I've been seeing him in trade talks. Like, why? Like,
well, we have a lot of infield. But the thing about Acuna, I wouldn't get rid of Acuna. Acuna can play second,
he's versatile,
short, outfield. You could probably play third. Like, the biggest thing bringing Pete back is Vientos gets to stay at third, and he doesn't have to learn to play a new position in his sophomore season, which could be hard enough. So then trying to learn to play the position.
He DHs as well. But it's just a matter of like who could play third for us. So if he DHs, but I like him at third, so I don't feel like that's really an issue.
Relief pitching right now, you got Minter, who you discussed, Reed Garrett, Ryan Stanek, Jose Buto.
Ryan Stanek was a
Stanek.
He was a pretty good re-sign as well. He was pretty good in the postseason, so I like that.
Jose Buto, which Met fans were complaining about at the fan day, he was kind of just kind of cold to people, but maybe having a bad day. And I don't know this guy, Daniel Nunez.
Daniel Nunez, he pitched for us last year. You don't remember him?
Name him. I got to look at his picture. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he pitched for us last year.
16.
I mean, he was all right out of the bullpen. I mean, I would love to pick up another bullpen arm via trade or whatever. But
who's the guy that we got that was a closer but trying to be a starter pitcher?
Clay Holmes.
Clay Holmes, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was relief last year. I think during his free agency, I think he told teams he wanted to be a starter.
There's a guy out there right now that the Mets could pick up that I'm all for giving him a contract from the minor leagues, seeing what he could do, and maybe help us out of the bullpen. Do you know who I'm talking about? No. Noah Syndergaard.
Nah.
Why not?
No, I mean,
if it don't cost you nothing, just
I understand that, but he's really fallen off a cliff after he left the Mets.
Maybe he can come in 1 inning a game here and there and help us out.
I don't know. I mean, he didn't work out on the Dodgers, the Angels. He hasn't worked out on the Guardians. I forgot he was even on that team. But
they haven't even updated the website yet with Pete Alonso. But closer, of course, we got Edwin Diaz, catcher, Alvarez, and Torrens.
I like Torrens as backup catcher. Alvarez, I hope he can have a breakout season. Because I remember we went to the Mets game in September for my birthday, and we saw Alvarez. He was 6 home runs in September. That's crazy. But he was battling it. He was battling injury.
He plays a tough position.
Yeah.
Being a catcher.
I'm not even mad with DHing him and putting Torrens as our catcher. I like his defense a lot.
And then the third catcher is Luis de Los Santos.
Not familiar with his game. Not familiar with his game.
First base, they've got Mark Vientos, but we all know that's Pete Alonso now.
I want to see Mauricio. I think he was great when he came up in 2023. I think he was solid, and I just want to see him play, man.
Interesting. Luis Torrens they got him as a first baseman as well.
Yeah, you can play both. Yeah.
Jeff McNeil, second base. I'm kind of over the Jeff McNeil.
Yes.
Luis Acuna, then Mauricio, Santos, and Torrens. This is just the depth that's at each position. Third base, of course, Viento's going to be there. You got Beatty, Mauricio, Acuna. Shortstop, Lindor, Acuna. See, that's why I like Acuna. Acuna could just...
He's versatile.
But I think he's going to end up going back. He's going to start out in the minors, kind of like Vientos did last year. Starling Marte, I'm kind of over the Starling Marte. That's Donna's favorite player.
No, Marte was great in the playoffs. I mean, at least one more year. Listen, this is me, right? He's 36 going into this year. He's 36 going into this year, and if he has a good first half of the season, I say we deal him off. I mean, we've got a lot of other pieces that can play the outfield in the minors and the majors. So I feel like if he has a good season, then we trade him midseason, get maybe a prospect or two, maybe get a MLB ready player for him. I don't know.
I mean, you say he had a great postseason, but in the postseason he had 47 at-bats.
I meant he was clutch. He was clutch.
47 at-bats, 13 hits, 4 doubles, no home runs, no triples. He had 9 RBIs.
Yeah, he was clutch. That's what I said.
Yeah. I mean, they re-signed Winker. They brought Winker back.
I like that a lot.
Why do you like this guy?
He's a locker room presence type of guy. Like, he brings energy to this team that we need, as well as Iglesias, even though I don't think, unfortunately, we're getting Iglesias back, which sucks.
Another Scott Boras he's got Scott Boras as an agent.
Yeah.
The Mets were offering him a 1-year deal. He turns it down. He wants a 2-year deal. Let me tell you something about Winker. He was 10 for 62 at Citi Field. Okay? 3 for 42 in September. 3 for 42 in September.
Like I said, he's a locker room presence. He brings the energy to the team that we need.
Okay. All right. You're a Jesse Winker guy.
I mean, I wasn't, because back in 2019, 2020, he was like toying with Mets fans because he used to play for the Reds. And he used to get booed every time he came to Citi Field because he was he just used to mess with the fans. He's a trash talker, but I've started to like him now because he's on the Mets and he's brought a lot of energy that we need to this team.
So where do you got the Mets in the division?
2 or 1 or 2, honestly, maybe 3. The Braves and the Phillies are tough, but I think the Phillies are a little bit overrated. I also think the Braves need to bolster the back end of their rotation a little bit. But I think the Braves could win it. I think we could also win it. We have a very good team. So do the Phillies and the Braves. I'm not downplaying them at all. I'm not trying to be biased. But I think we're in the 1, 2, 3. Obviously not 4 or 5. That'd be very disappointing.
The Phillies got probably the best starting rotation.
Oh, yeah.
In the East.
Yeah, probably.
For sure.
I'd say that. The best 1, 2, though, is probably the Braves, though. Chris Sale, Spencer Strider. Yeah.
So right now, who do you pick to win the World Series? Who's the favorite for the World Series? Is it going to be the Dodgers again?
It's got to be the Dodgers. I mean, they just won it. They just got Roki Sasaki. I mean, they got all these they're having a good free agency as well. Like, it's kind of crazy. I don't know where they get all this money from. I'm pretty sure they're just deferring it. So
you can make future bets, right? You know this.
Yeah.
On who's going to win the World Series. There's 4 teams ranked ahead of the Mets, odd-wise.
Can I guess them?
Go ahead.
Dodgers.
Dodgers is 1.
The Yankees.
Yankees are 2.
Yankees. Is it 2 NL teams, 2 AL, or is it AL NL?
Both 2 and 2. You already said the 2 AL. Number 1 Dodgers. That's NL.
So there's
Dodgers,
1 AL, 1 NL. Okay.
No, there's 1 AL, 3 NL.
Oh, so yeah, so so there's 2 more NL.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe the Braves.
Braves,
really? Okay. Who else? Who's in the NL? Oh, we were. Okay. Maybe the Phillies?
Phillies.
Really?
So right now you can get the Dodgers plus 250.
That's crazy.
You get the Yankees at rank number 2 at plus 800. And you get the Braves at plus 950. Phillies at plus 1100. Mets are at plus 1200.
Wow.
So if you bet $100,
that's crazy. So they have some third place NL East probably.
Yeah. So if you bet $100 on the Mets and the Mets win the World Series, you win $1,200. That's a nice bet. That's a long-term bet.
Yeah. I mean, that's just crazy that they have us in third after us going to the LCS.
If you pick and
getting Juan Soto.
And it's weird because they got to win the National League. The Mets and Phillies are both a plus 650 to win the National League. The Braves are plus 500. So they definitely think the Braves are going to win the division.
Yeah.
But they're kind of a toss-up.
Like what?
Oh, this is BetMGM, our sponsor. So go to BetMGM if you want to make your future picks. Yeah, so it's interesting. The American League, they got the Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox, Rays. Rays are plus 900. And then, National League East winner. Okay, here we go. They put the Phillies above the Braves a little bit. Plus 185 for the Phillies, plus 200 for the Mets, plus 140 for the Braves. So it's really looking like everybody still thinks the Mets are. But you know what? That's the Mets.
Yeah.
The national media, they don't give them any respect. So it is what it is. But how you feel about our owner and GM? There was a lot of criticism in this offseason.
I think that the offseason that they've had has gotten more respect out of the fans. And I've always respected them. I've always liked Steve Cohen and our GM. I forgot his name. What is his name? Steve. No, not Steve.
I forget his name.
David Stearns. David Stearns.
Yeah.
I've always liked them as our owner and GM, and I think they've done a great job bolstering this roster to be a championship contender. And I feel like the hate wasn't justified. I feel like they were just hating because they're the Mets.
These Mets fans though. Mets fans
are ruthless.
They're ruthless.
They're ruthless, man.
Savages.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's all fans, right? We talk of Gators football all the time.
Yeah,
That Gators fan.
College football is another level. I mean, it's crazy over there. But I go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think the Mets have taken over. They're not the little brother anymore in New York.
I agree. I think we're better than the Yankees, personally.
We beat them every time we played them last year.
Yeah, we were 4-0 against them last year. You know, I got Yankees friends up here. They say they're better, but I personally believe this season will be a telltale sign of who's better, and that will be the Mets.
I've always given the credit to our ownership, the GM. I said it all along. The GM comes from a small market team. He is going to GM like a small market club, but he's got the purse to pay big contracts. And I said it on the episode I did by myself. He shouldn't bid against himself, against Pete.
Yeah.
You know, and Pete obviously wanted to be back in New York. Deal got done. 1 year, opt out if he wants to go. Got a nice sign.
Contracts and opt out? On opt out?
1 year.
Interesting.
So basically, if he opts in for the second year, he'll get a little more money, but he can opt out. And so basically it puts it on Pete. Have a great year, but if he doesn't have a great year, he comes back with us the second year. But I really think this is a win-win for everybody. It's a win for Pete. He wants to be a Met. Win for the Mets fans, like you being a young kid, being a Pete Alonso fan, Florida Gator guy, Tampa guy, kind of rooting for him this whole time. Yeah. Get to see him again. Get to see what he could do with Juan Soto in the lineup. But then next year.
I can't wait for that, man.
Next year, I want them to get Vladdy and Pete to come back for year 2.
I heard Vladdy rumors this offseason.
They were trying.
No way.
They were trying because they didn't know they were going to get
generational. I think he had a very underrated season last year. I don't think people talk about it enough. He was very good last year for the Blue Jays.
You put Vladdy in this lineup and move Pete to DH and kind of platoon him at first a little bit.
I like Vladdy's defense a lot, too. It's really improved.
I think that is the target next offseason.
100%. And
Steve Cohen's going to do whatever it takes to get him.
Yeah.
And I like it. And I think Vladdy wants to come to New York. So I think Soto's going to help that. Lindor's going to help try to recruit him.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to get into this last thing before we go. Lineup. Okay. Been arguing with a couple of Mets fans on X. And I'm not arguing, but I have my opinion. It kind of comes from the La Russa style of ball.
Oh, boy.
But give me your batting lineup for the Mets.
1 through 9?
1 through 9.
Well, Lindor's got to be 1.
Gotta have Lindor at 1.
Gotta have Lindor. You were telling me the other day that you were trying to have Lindor at 2 and Nimmo 1.
No. I never said Nimmo 1.
No.
We'll get to where.
Who'd you say Nimmo 1? Well, you know, I want you to say your lineup first. I don't even want to go first. I want you to go first.
All right, I'll go Lindor 1.
Who were you gonna say?
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get to it.
Who were you gonna say that you had 1?
Lindor.
No, before.
No, you miss. Let me go. Lindor
right.
1.
All right.
Soto 2.
Okay.
Then I would go Alonso 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would go Vientos. No, you know what? I would go Vientos 3. Pete 4. Alvarez 5. And then depending on who's playing center, if Siri's there, I may hit Siri 8. But if Jeff McNeil, throw him in there. Who's going to be in right? Marte.
Yeah.
Put him in there. Those guys from 6 to 9 or 6 to 8 could be whatever. I personally would hit Nemo 9th. A lot of people got Nemo. What my argument came up was people got Nemo at the cleanup position. If you look at, I'm going to pull it up here in a second. If you look up Nemo's on-base percentage, I'm a big set the table at the bottom of the order. If Nemo is hitting 9th, gets on base better probably than anybody except probably Lindor. He gets on base. Now you got Lindor coming up with Soto. So if Lindor can get on base, you got 2 runners on for Soto. And then Pete, and then Vient. So I like, La Russa used to do it where he did, when the pitchers batted, he would hit the pitcher 8th and then put another top of the order type guy at 9.
Yeah.
I like that. I like it. I understand hitting Soto 2nd, Pete 3rd, so they get more at bats. Soto's comfortable in the 2-hole. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if the number 8 hitter gets out, leads off the inning, Nemo's up, he gets on, Lindor gets out, Soto's got a runner on. I like somebody at the bottom who can get on base. So
I like that, but I feel like that lessens their at bats.
But I ain't worried about how many at bats Nemo gets.
I am.
You worried about how many at bats Nemo gets?
No. I'm not worried about it stat wise. If the more at bats Nemo gets, the more times he's gonna have to get on base.
But you don't think of Nemo as the guy you want with extra at bats. He's not a power guy.
You said it yourself. He gets on base the second most times on the team behind Lindor. I want him on base.
Okay, but then he needs to hit in front of Soto. That's what I'm saying.
Can I get to my lineup?
Okay, you get to your lineup.
Lindor, Nemo, Soto. Cap. Lindor, Nemo, Vientos, Soto, Alonso. That's nice right there. That's a nice lineup right there. Lindor, Nemo. You get a switch lefty, and then you get Vientos with the righty mix. Then you get Soto at the cleanup, but then you got Alonso behind him to back him up too. So even though Soto's cleanup, he's still got somebody out behind him that could back him up. You know what I mean?
Nemo's on-base percentage was .327. He only batted .224. Strikeouts 158. He had 23 home runs.
I will admit he did have a down season last year. He did have a down season, but that's okay.
I just don't like him in the cleanup spot.
I understand that. I probably wouldn't put him there either. Because I like Lindor, Nemo, Vientos, because that was our top 3 during the playoffs. And then Soto, Alonso. I don't know if Alonso's going to like being at 5. Maybe a switch Alonso and Vientos. Maybe put Alonso 3, Soto 4, Vientos 5.
Yeah.
You like that a little bit better?
I like somebody hitting behind Vientos, though. I like to put the pressure on Alvarez.
That's where you get Alvarez.
Yeah. I like
6,
Alvarez at 6.
Alvarez. 7? Acuna? If Acuna starts?
I think Acuna, because of McNeil, is going to be down in the minors.
I like he's definitely, if he was on the postseason roster, he's gonna be on the opening.
Not necessarily.
He's gonna be on the opening day roster. I have faith. If Acuna starts, I like him at 7. If McNeil starts, maybe you get a guy like Marte in 7. And then 8. If Acuna starts, the 8. Who am I missing? Who am I missing from the lineup? I got center field, and what other position?
That's
DH.
it. DH.
Who's going to DH? Who's coming? Maybe Winker, I guess. Put Winker at 8. Siri 9.
Your DH is supposed to hit.
Why am I forgetting who's on the bench, though?
DH is supposed to be a hitter. Like Winker, I feel like is a platoon guy.
Why am I forgetting who's on the bench? Huh. Oh, I forgot. Nobody signed JD Martinez.
Tyrone Taylor could be in the mix.
Okay.
You know,
who else?
I don't know who. Jose Azocar.
Azocar. No, that's he's not.
Those
really.
are outfielders: Marte, Soto, Taylor, Nemo, Azocar, Winker.
Maybe Tyrone Taylor then, but I do. It depends who's on the mound. Like if a righty's on the mound, I'd put Winker in. Winker's a lefty. I like having a mix of lefties and righties in my lineup. That's why I'm thinking Winker. I'd probably put Winker there, and then Siri.
So it's been a really long time since the Mets. I say a really long time. I don't know if it's ever really happened. I think it did once. Since the Mets had at least 2 guys in the lineup with 30 home runs.
We might have 3 this year.
Might have 3.
Might have 4, which is kind of crazy.
Could have 5.
Who's the 5th?
Alvarez. I'm expecting Alvarez to have a breakout year.
I'm expecting it too, and I want it to happen. But 30, I feel like we're pushing it a little bit. He did have 20 his rookie year,
That's
though.
what I'm saying.
He did have 20 his rookie year.
And then what did he finish with? Because that one game we were at, he had what'd you say, 6?
Yeah, 6.
But he finished
I think he finished like 8, 9.
Really?
10.
I thought he hit a few.
Nah. Maybe actually I think it was around 12.
So you could have Lindor, Soto, Pete. Those are the 3 that definitely we expect to hit 30. Lindor may not hit 30, but those are the 3.
He's hit 30 the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, but he may not. But Vientos, a lot of pressure. Sophomore season.
Okay, but
People gonna
he had like 25 this year.
Vientos is my guy. That is my.
I like Vientos, man.
When they were talking about they wanted to trade for Vladdy, and part of that chip was to give up Vientos, there was no way.
Yeah,
Vientos reminds me of a young Alex Rodriguez. And I saw something I wanted to share with you. The manager of the Mets was doing an interview with the GM. And they talked about.
He had 11 home runs.
Who's this? Alvarez? Okay, so yeah. I mean, that was in September.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he had a good September. Because he did have 6.
Yeah.
So, he has the potential to hit 30.
Yeah.
But I would like to see a 20-plus from him, you know.
I think he swings too hard. I think that I noticed that about him. When he's really trying to hit the ball, he's just swinging way too hard.
So, Vientos had a shot at making the opening day ball club.
Yeah.
And the manager had to bring him in, send him down. Hard discussion with him. But he talked about how Vientos kept his head up, kept working hard in the minors. They bring him up early in the year, if for whatever reason, injury or something.
It's because Beatty was slow. No. Beatty had a good first week because in the Milwaukee series, he had a clutch 3-run homer, even though he still lost the game. Clutch 3-run homer in the 8th. And he had a pretty good first week. He was good against the Tigers. He was good the next series as well. But then he was just slow. The rest of the month, he was just slow.
Yeah. So they bring up Vientos, and Vientos has great performance. He was there a week. In the last game, I forget, it was a walk-off. I don't remember if it was a walk-off homer or a walk-off hit that he did for the Mets. They have to bring him in that same game where he hits the walk-off, and they have to send him back down to the minors. And they send him back down.
Oh, I remember that against the Cardinals, yeah.
They sent him back down to the minors.
I was like, why are they sending him down?
And they had to, they have roster moves they got to make with the 40-man and everything, so they have to send him back down.
That's crazy.
And plus, he had options.
I remember that, yeah.
So it depends on who's on the club that has options to go back down. So they sent him down, but the manager said, kept a good head, kept a good attitude, didn't pout, didn't, complain.
Yeah.
Went back down to the minors, did what he had to do. When his number was called again, came up and then had the season that he had for the ball club. And honestly, without Vientos last year, the Mets don't make that run.
They don't.
Really?
They really don't.
He was really the
He batted
key.
around 260, 270. He had 20-plus home runs on the year. He was, and in the postseason, he had a great postseason as well.
Yeah, the only thing with Soto, one thing about Soto I haven't liked is kind of he has that nonchalant kind of. I don't think he's a great defender.
Yeah,
that's number one. But I don't think he's gonna kill us out there either.
Yeah.
But I want to see hustle out of him. I don't want to see ground ball to second. You just kind of jog. Like I like a hustling player, but at the same time I get not trying to pull a hammy and all that stuff. But I want him to set a good example for the younger guys, the Acunas, the Jet Beatty,
the younger guys, buddy. Acuna's
Acuna may be older.
Acuna's not older. How old is Luis Angel Acuna? Because he's probably close to.
But I'm just saying, I want him to be a leader. I mean, we have our captain, which I feel like at the moment is Lindor.
It's 100% Lindor.
Soto, one of those at bats.
Luis Angel Acuna is 3 years younger than Soto, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, one of those at bats that I watched him against. It was the round that I was the Indians that played to go to the World Series, or the Guardians. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The at-bat that he had in that game at the end of the game where he was shaking his head at the pitcher and like nodding his head, okay, you got me on that one. I'm ready now.
And hit the home run?
Yes, just the intensity that he takes to the plate and the approach. I think you can learn so much watching him.
Yeah.
And just he was locked in. And I think that is going to rub off on even a Pete, watching a guy like Soto every at-bat before him.
Yeah.
And watching those ABs that he gets, I think it's going to trickle down. With signing Pete, this big thing, Pop-Up used to always talk about lengthening the lineup.
Yeah.
And that's what that signing does. Because if you don't have Pete there, I'll give you an interesting statistic. Without Pete, the analytics that I heard on, shout out to Mets podcast, but I heard these analytics on there. Without Pete in the lineup, the Mets, analytically, if you put in talking Mets with Mike Silva, if you put in the analytics without Pete, they were X amount of runs a game. If you put Pete in the lineup, there was a tenth of a run more.
I believe it.
So it's not a huge difference with Pete in there analytically. So they were the Mets. That's why the Mets were okay moving on. Okay, we're moving on. That's what they said. Said it was exhausting dealing with the agent. So he doesn't come back and, we got another run a game because Pete's on the team. That's not it. But it does lengthen that lineup. Yeah. And it makes it a lot harder for pitchers. And for that fact, and just the fact that, I grew up watching David Wright and Jose Reyes. Well, not grew up watching them. I was an 86 guy.
You were like in your 20s, 30s.
But I loved Jose Reyes and David Wright. I want them to be Mets forever. So I'm glad Pete's back with the Mets, and I'm looking forward to a great year.
Yeah, me as well.
All right. Well, we appreciate you listening to this episode. Next week, we will be back, and we will recap the Super Bowl, which I'm sure, and you're listening to this now, the Chiefs won, and Patrick Mahomes was the MVP.
Cap.
You like the Eagles?
I like the Eagles in this game, and I think they get revenge. Can't really go against the Chiefs, but I think the Eagles got this one, man.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you, and check out BetMGM.
Peace.